Everyone at dinner mocked my husband's masculinity. He stood up and finally snapped. I'm sitting at our dining room table, nervously adjusting the centerpiece for the third time. The clock reads 6:45 p.m., and our guests will arrive at 7 sharp. My husband Michael, 36, is in the kitchen finishing up the appetizers. I think, God, why does he always have to be so methodical about everything? We're just having friends over, not hosting the royal family. Babe, is the wine breathing? Michael calls from the kitchen. I roll my eyes and respond, Yes, Michael. I opened it an hour ago, just like you asked. I pour myself a generous glass and take a long sip. My mind drifts to the guest list for tonight. My college friends Jennifer and her husband Brad, my coworker Allison and her new boyfriend Tyler, and my sister Rachel with her husband Steve. I'm excited to see everyone, especially Tyler. Allison mentioned he's some hotshot investment banker who travels the world closing million-dollar deals. Michael emerges from the kitchen wearing the apron I bought him last Christmas. It says, "Kiss the cook" with a little heart underneath. He looks adorable, but something inside me twinges with irritation. "What do you think?" he asks, presenting a tray of meticulously arranged bruschetta. "They look great," I say, not looking up from my phone. I'm scrolling through Instagram, checking out Jennifer's latest vacation photos from Greece. I think, when was the last time Michael and I went somewhere exotic? All he ever wants to do is save for retirement. The doorbell rings at 7:02. Michael answers while I finish my wine. "Rebecca!" Jennifer squeals, air kissing my cheeks. Brad follows behind her, tall and confident in an expensive-looking blazer. He and Michael exchange a firm handshake. "Nice apron, man," Brad says with a smirk. Michael laughs it off, but I notice his smile doesn't reach his eyes. Within 30 minutes, all our guests have arrived. I'm on my second glass of wine when Tyler walks in with Allison. He's exactly as she described, tall, tan, designer clothes, perfect teeth. I feel my pulse quicken as I introduce myself. "So this is the famous Rebecca," Tyler says, kissing my hand dramatically. "Allison talks about you nonstop at work." I giggle, suddenly feeling like I'm back in college. "All good things, I hope." "Of course," he winks, then turns to Michael. "And you must be the lucky husband." Michael extends his hand. "Michael, nice to meet you." I'm in the kitchen now, grabbing more wine bottles. Jennifer follows me in. "Girl, Tyler is hot," she whispers, leaning against the counter. "I know, right?" I whisper back. Allison hit the jackpot. "How's Michael?" she asks, her voice dropping. "Still working at the same company?" I nod, uncorking another bottle. "Yep, 10 years now. He keeps talking about making partner someday, but who knows?" "Brad just got promoted," Jennifer says, not even trying to hide her pride. "We're looking at houses in the gated community uptown." I think, Michael and I will never afford a place like that. Not with his careful budgeting and modest ambitions. I force a smile. "That's amazing, Jen." We return to the dining room, where Michael is serving the main course, his famous slow-cooked beef bourguignon. He's been preparing it since yesterday, simmering the meat for hours, carefully selecting the perfect wine to complement the dish. "Dinner is served," he announces proudly, setting the Dutch oven in the center of the table. "Looks homey," Tyler comments, and I can't help but notice the slight condescension in his tone. We're all seated now, passing dishes around. The conversation flows easily, aided by the steady stream of wine. Michael is quiet, focusing on making sure everyone has enough food, refilling water glasses, being the perfect host. "So, Michael," Brad says between bites, "Rebecca tells us you're still at Henderson and Partners. What is it you do there again?" "I'm a senior account manager," Michael replies. "Been there 10 years now." 10 years at the same place, Tyler whistles. "I could never. I need excitement, challenges, you know? I just closed a deal in Singapore last month." "That sounds fascinating," I say, leaning toward Tyler. "Michael doesn't travel much for work." I feel a pang of guilt as the words leave my mouth, but the wine has loosened my inhibitions. "I like stability," Michael says quietly. "There's value in building something steadily over time." "Sure, if you're risk-averse," Brad laughs. "But the real money's in taking chances, right, Tyler?" Tyler nods, launching into a story about a high-stakes negotiation in Dubai. I notice everyone at the table is captivated. Everyone except Michael, who silently serves second helpings. I'm on my fourth glass of wine when the conversation shifts to fitness. Brad is describing his new CrossFit routine when he turns to Michael. What about you, man? You hit the gym? Michael shrugs. I jog a few times a week. Nothing intense. You should try CrossFit, Brad insists. Put some muscle on. The ladies love it, right, babe? He winks at Jennifer. Michael's not really the CrossFit type, I blurt out with a laugh. He gets winded going up the stairs sometimes. Everyone chuckles, and I continue, emboldened by their response. Remember when we tried that hiking trail last summer? He had to stop like every 5 minutes. It was 95 degrees, Michael says quietly, but I'm already on a roll. And then there was that time at the beach when those teenagers were kicking sand near our towel, and Michael just moved our spot instead of saying anything. I'm laughing now, not noticing how Michael's face has hardened. He's just not confrontational, are you, honey? Some men prefer diplomacy to unnecessary conflict, Michael says, his voice tight. Diplomacy, Tyler repeats with a smirk. Is that what they call it now? In my experience, Steve joins in, you have to stand your ground with people. Mark your territory. Like a dog? Michael asks, an edge to his voice that I've rarely heard. I just mean you can't let people walk all over you, Steve clarifies, looking uncomfortable. Michael's just more of a gentle soul, I say, touching his arm patronizingly. It's sweet, really. I think there's something attractive about a man who knows when to fight and when to walk away, Allison offers, trying to help. Oh, definitely, I reply, rolling my eyes. Like last month when the waiter brought him the wrong order, and he ate it anyway because he didn't want to make a fuss. I mimic quotation marks with my fingers. I chose not to ruin everyone's dinner over a simple mistake, Michael says, his knuckles white around his fork. Oh, come on, honey, I say, wine sloshing in my glass as I gesture. You've got to admit, you're not exactly the alpha male type, and that's fine, I add quickly. Not every man needs to be. What type am I then, Rebecca? Michael asks, his voice dangerously quiet. I don't recognize the warning signs. Instead, I think, why is he being so sensitive? We're just having fun. You're the reliable type, I say, trying to sound complimentary. The steady one. The guy who remembers to change the air filters and check the tire pressure. I turn to the table. Do you know he has a spreadsheet for our household budget? With color coding? The table erupts in laughter, except for Michael, who sits perfectly still. And God forbid we go over budget on groceries, I continue, warming to my audience. He'll eat ramen for a week to make up the difference. Sounds like my accountant, Tyler snorts. I think he irons his underwear. Michael might too, I exclaim, as everyone laughs harder. He definitely color coordinates his sock drawer. I'm so caught up in the moment that I don't notice Michael has stopped eating. He's staring at his plate, jaw clenched, while everyone around him is laughing at my stories. You know what's really funny? I say, leaning in conspiratorially. On our honeymoon, we went to this beautiful beach in Mexico, right? And these local guys were playing volleyball, and they invited Michael to join, but he was too scared he'd embarrass himself. So we just sat there watching instead of participating. I shake my head. I sometimes wonder what it would be like to be with someone who just grabs life by the horns, you know? The table goes quiet. I look up and realize I've crossed a line. What exactly do you mean by that, Rebecca? Michael asks, his voice so controlled it's almost a whisper. I backpedal quickly. Nothing, just that you're cautious, that's all. It's not a bad thing. Sounds like you wish it were different, though, he says, looking me directly in the eyes. I think what she means, Jennifer jumps in, trying to salvage the situation, is that different personalities complement each other. Brad's the risk taker, and I'm the planner. No, I want to hear what Rebecca means, Michael insists, not breaking eye contact with me. Please, enlighten us all about what kind of man you wish you were married to instead. The table is uncomfortably silent now. I think, why is he doing this? It was just harmless teasing. Michael, don't be so sensitive, I say with a nervous laugh. We're just having fun. Are we? He sets down his napkin. Because it sounds like you and your friends are having fun at my expense. Oh, come on, Brad interjects. Rebecca's just saying you're not the macho type. Nothing wrong with that. I don't recall asking for your assessment, Brad, Michael says coolly, still looking at me. I'm more interested in my wife's opinion, the woman who promised to love and respect me. I feel my face flush with embarrassment and anger. How dare he make a scene in front of our friends? You're overreacting, I hiss. Maybe if you lightened up and weren't so uptight all the time, people wouldn't feel the need to walk on eggshells around you. Is that what you're doing right now? Walking on eggshells? Michael asks, his eyebrow raised. Because it sounds more like you're stomping all over our marriage for a few cheap laughs. Oh, for God's sake, Michael, I snap, fully irritated now. Man up and take a joke. The words hang in the air like a thunderclap. I immediately regret them, but it's too late. Michael slowly stands up. I expect him to storm out, to slam doors, to shout. Instead, he calmly places his hands on the table and looks around at everyone. Let me tell you something about being a man, he says, his voice steady. It's not about how much you can bench press, or how aggressively you confront teenagers on a beach, or how many countries you visit to close business deals. He looks at each person around the table. It's about integrity. It's about keeping your word. It's about treating people with respect, even when they don't deserve it. His eyes land on me, especially when they don't deserve it. Michael, I start, but he holds up a hand. I've spent 10 years at my company because I gave them my word that I would see projects through to completion. I've stayed in our marriage because I made vows that meant something to me. I don't make scenes at restaurants because I respect that waiters are human beings who make mistakes. I budget our money because I want to make sure we're secure in the future, not just living for today. He takes a deep breath. I thought those were qualities my wife valued. Apparently, I was wrong. Dude, she was just joking around, Tyler says uncomfortably. Michael turns to him. Was she? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like my wife is deeply dissatisfied with the man she married. And if that's the case, I'd rather hear it honestly than have it served up as entertainment for dinner guests. I'm stunned into silence. In 10 years of marriage, I've never seen this side of Michael. I think, who is this man standing at our dining table? I apologize for disrupting dinner, Michael continues, folding his napkin neatly. Please enjoy the rest of the meal. I've lost my appetite. He walks out of the dining room with quiet dignity. No slamming doors, no raised voice, just the soft click of our bedroom door closing upstairs. The table is silent for a long, excruciating moment. Well, Jennifer finally says, that was justified, Allison finishes, surprising me. She looks at me with disappointment. Rebecca, you were really harsh. I was just teasing him. I defend myself, though my voice lacks conviction. He knows I didn't mean anything by it. Does he? Rachel, my sister, asks quietly. Because if someone talked about Steve that way, especially in front of our friends, I'd be devastated. I look around the table and am shocked to see agreement on everyone's faces. Even Brad and Tyler look uncomfortable. You guys don't understand, I insist. Michael and I have this kind of relationship. He dishes it out too. When? Rachel challenges. When has he ever publicly humiliated you? I open my mouth to respond, but find I have no examples. The realization hits me like a bucket of cold water. I think we should probably go, Steve says, putting his arm around Rachel. Tell Michael thanks for dinner. It was delicious. One by one, our guests make awkward excuses to leave. Within 15 minutes, I'm alone at the dining table surrounded by half-eaten plates of food and empty wine bottles. I think, what just happened? How did this all go so wrong? I climb the stairs slowly, rehearsing an apology in my head. When I reach our bedroom door, I pause, suddenly unsure. I've never seen Michael stand up to me like that before. Part of me is impressed, even attracted to this newfound backbone. Another part is terrified of what it means for us. I knock softly. Michael, can we talk? No answer. I open the door to find him sitting on the edge of our bed, staring at the wedding photo on our dresser. I'm sorry, I begin, sitting beside him. I went too far. The wine, the audience, I got carried away. This isn't about tonight, Rebecca, he says, his voice tired. Tonight was just a symptom. What do you mean? I mean that for years you've been chipping away at my dignity, one joke at a time. He turns to look at me. At first, I thought it was just your way of teasing. Then I realized it was your way of expressing disappointment. That's not true, I protest, though a voice inside me whispers that maybe it is. Isn't it? He asks. You compare me to men like Brad and Tyler, men with different values, different priorities. You make it clear that you find me lacking. Michael, I love you, I say, reaching for his hand. He pulls away. I believe you think you do, he says, but you don't respect me, and without respect, love is just a word. I feel tears welling in my eyes. What are you saying? I'm saying I deserve better. He stands up and walks to the closet, pulling out a small duffel bag. I'm going to stay at my brother's for a while. I need some space to think about what I want for the rest of my life. You're leaving? I ask, panic rising in my chest. Over one bad dinner party? No, Rebecca, I'm leaving because I finally see that I've been enabling your disrespect by accepting it. He begins packing methodically, the same way he does everything else. A man who truly values himself wouldn't allow that. I'm on my feet now, grabbing his arm. Please don't go. We can fix this. I'll be more mindful of what I say, I promise. Promises require trust, he says simply. And right now, I don't trust that you see me as the man you want rather than the man you settled for. He zips the bag closed and heads for the door. How long will you be gone? I ask, tears streaming down my face. I don't know, he answers honestly, as long as it takes to decide if this marriage is salvageable. 3 weeks later, I'm sitting alone in our kitchen, staring at my phone. No calls from Michael today. I've sent multiple texts, apologizing, pleading, angry, resigned, but his responses have been polite and distant. Jennifer calls. I let it go to voicemail. She's called several times since that night, but I can't face her. I can't face any of them. Word has spread through our social circle about what happened, and I've become the villain in the story. The disrespectful wife who pushed her good husband too far. The truth is, they're right. In Michael's absence, I've had to handle everything he usually takes care of. The bills, the home maintenance, the planning. I never realized how much he did, how much I relied on the very qualities I mocked. My phone pings with a text notification. It's from Allison. Saw Michael at the gym today. He looks good, started some kind of martial arts class. My heart sinks. Michael is moving on with his life, trying new things, while I'm stuck in our empty house with my regrets. Another text follows. He asked about you. I think he still cares. A glimmer of hope, but it's quickly extinguished by my next thought. What if caring isn't enough anymore? I scroll through our photo album, landing on a picture from our early days. Michael and I on a camping trip, his arm around me as I made a silly face at the camera. He was looking at me, not the camera, looking at me with such love and admiration. When did I stop deserving that look? 2 more weeks pass. Michael has agreed to meet me for coffee. I'm sitting at a table in our favorite cafe, nervously checking my watch every minute. He's always punctual, which means I have exactly 3 minutes before he arrives. I think, what if he wants a divorce? What if this is the end? My hands tremble slightly as I adjust my hair for the 10th time. The bell above the door chimes and he walks in. I hardly recognize him at first. He's lost weight, his posture is straighter, and he's wearing clothes I've never seen before. Stylish, confident choices that suit him perfectly. Rebecca, he greets me with a small smile, sitting down across from me. You look amazing, I blurt out, then blush. I mean, you look well. Thank you, he says. I've been making some changes. I can see that. I clear my throat. Michael, about what happened? Before we get into that, he interrupts gently. I want to say something. These past weeks have been clarifying for me. I've realized that I had fallen into patterns that weren't healthy, for me or for us. What do you mean? I mean that I was so focused on being the reliable, stable husband that I stopped growing as a person. He leans forward, and in doing so, I enabled a dynamic where my contributions were taken for granted. I nod, tears threatening. I did take you for granted. I see that now. It wasn't just you, he says. I played my part. I should have stood up for myself long ago. Set boundaries, demanded respect. And now? I ask, afraid of the answer. Michael takes a deep breath. I've been seeing a counselor, working on myself, figuring out what I want from the next chapter of my life. And what have you figured out? My voice is barely a whisper. That I deserve to be with someone who sees my worth, who appreciates my strengths instead of focusing on what I'm not. My heart shatters. Are you saying it's over? He looks at me for a long moment. I'm saying it's up to you, Rebecca. Not just what you say, but what you do. Actions speak louder than words. I'll do anything, I promise. Counseling, workshops, whatever it takes. Start with honest reflection, he suggests. Ask yourself if you truly want me, or if you want the idea of someone else that you've built up in your mind. As I look at him, this stronger, more confident version of my husband, I realize with painful clarity that I never appreciated what I had. The stability, the reliability, the quiet strength that doesn't need to announce itself. I want you, I say, meaning it completely for perhaps the first time. The real you, not some fantasy. Michael nods slowly. Then we have somewhere to start. 6 months later, I'm standing in our kitchen preparing dinner. Michael and I have been in intensive couples counseling, and I've been seeing my own therapist to work through my insecurities and tendency to seek validation through criticism. We're hosting another dinner party tonight, the first since that fateful evening. Different guests this time. Michael's brother and his wife, a couple we met in counseling, and my sister Rachel with Steve. I hear the front door open and close. Michael walks into the kitchen, returning from his martial arts class. He wraps his arms around me from behind, kissing my neck. Need any help? He offers. I've got it under control, I assure him. But thank you for asking. He smiles, that genuine smile that now reaches his eyes again. I'll go shower then. As he heads upstairs, I think about how close I came to losing him, how my careless words and disrespect nearly destroyed the best thing in my life. The dinner party that night is warm, supportive, filled with genuine laughter and conversation. No one is the butt of jokes. No one is diminished for entertainment. Later, as we clean up together, Michael says, "That was nice. Different." "Good different?" I ask. He nods. "The best kind." I look at my husband, really look at him, and see the man I married. Steady, kind, principled. But I also see the man he's become. Confident, self-assured, unwilling to accept disrespect. "Thank you," I say suddenly. "For what?" "For giving us another chance, for showing me what real strength looks like." Michael pulls me close. "It looks like this," he says. "Two people choosing each other every day, respecting each other, building something that lasts." As I rest my head on his chest, I think, I almost lost this. I almost threw it all away for cheap laughs and the approval of people who don't matter. Never again, I promise silently. Some lessons you only need to learn once.